They called my 12-year-old daughter useless in front of the whole family. I didn't argue. I turned on the projector. My name is Rachel, and my daughter is Lily. Lily is the kind of kid who can sit quietly for an hour building a paper city and then notice, without being told, that the mayor's office should be closer to the river because people need water. She doesn't fill rooms with noise. She fills them with details. She draws with a concentration that feels like prayer. She remembers the exact sentence someone used 3 weeks ago, and she remembers who interrupted whom and who laughed when it wasn't funny. My family hates that kind of child. My family loves a star. And the star is Ethan, my brother's son 13, loud, fast, athletic, praised like he invented oxygen. Ethan can dribble a basketball and tell a joke at the same time, and adults treat that like a moral accomplishment. When Ethan walks into a room, my parents' faces rearrange themselves into pride. When Lily walks into a room, my parents' faces do the thing people do when they see a chair blocking a hallway, annoyance disguised as patience. That Sunday, my parents hosted a backyard barbecue at their house. The invitation said Family Day in glittery letters, like we were in a commercial. I almost didn't go. I had work the next morning, Lily had a science fair prep meeting, and I didn't feel like watching my daughter shrink while my mother called it motivation. But Lily wanted to go. She got ready early, like the day mattered. She smoothed her hair twice. She put on a plain yellow dress because bright colors made her feel brave, and she pinned a small badge onto the strap of her bag. Young Inventors Fair qualified for county exhibition. Lily had earned it too. She'd built a simple water filter prototype out of sand, charcoal, and recycled bottles after reading about clean water issues in a book she struggled through slowly, letter by letter. It wasn't flashy. It was thoughtful. She held up the badge and said, "Mom, maybe Grandma will be happy." I looked at her face, hopeful and careful, like she was holding something fragile inside her chest, and I didn't know whether to feel sad or furious. "Maybe," I said, because I didn't have the heart to tell her my mother's happiness had always come with a scoreboard. We arrived to the smell of grilled meat and the sound of my father's laugh, loud and booming, the laugh that says he owns the space. Dad Frank was already telling a story with Ethan as the hero. "That boy's got my blood," he said, clapping Ethan's shoulder. "He's going to make varsity. You watch." Ethan grinned and looked at Lily like she was scenery. My mother Diane turned when she saw us. She did the polite smile first, the one she uses in public so no one can accuse her of being cruel. Then her eyes slid to Lily's bag and the badge, and her mouth pinched into something else. "Oh," she said. "Lily." She paused, like she was searching for the right label, and what she landed on wasn't granddaughter. "Rachel's little craft girl," she announced to my sister-in-law, Melissa, as if Lily were a hobby item. Then she lowered her voice just enough to be pretend private and said, "At least she can help with decorations." Lily's shoulders tensed. Then they dropped again, the way they do when you've learned you can't change the weather, only endure it. She smiled politely, the smile kids use when they're trying to be easy. I wanted to leave right then, but my parents had set up a giant outdoor TV and a projector screen by the patio, looping a slideshow of family photos. It was their stage, their control, their proof of what mattered. Inside my chest, something tightened. I told myself, just get through lunch. Just keep Lily close. Just don't let them cut too deep. Then my mother announced, tradition. Every child would stand up and share an achievement. Ethan bounced up first, because of course he did. He talked about sports stats and a leadership award, and everyone clapped like he'd negotiated world peace. My father recorded him on his phone and said, "That's my boy," even though Ethan isn't his boy. Then my mother looked at Lily and made a little motion with her hand, like she was calling a dog. I started to stand. Lily qualified for. My mother lifted her palm toward me, stopping me mid-word. "No need, Rachel," she said, smiling. "We're honest in this family. Lily isn't really built for competition. She's slow. And honestly, she doesn't have the spark." A few people chuckled, not loudly, but enough. The kind of laugh that means, please don't make me uncomfortable by disagreeing. My father leaned back in his chair and added, like he was stating a fact about the weather, that one will always need someone to carry her, useless without guidance. The word useless hit like a slap. Lily's fingers clenched the edge of her napkin until her knuckles turned pale. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just stared down, frozen, like if she didn't move, the hurt might pass over her. And then, so quietly only I heard it, she said, "Mom, can we go home?" Something in me went still. I didn't shout. I didn't plead. I didn't play the role of the emotional daughter begging for basic respect. I stood up slowly, like a person about to toast. I smiled, because in my family, a smile is armor. A smile is also a knife wrapped in etiquette. "Sure," I said brightly, and the table turned toward me, expecting an apology, expecting me to smooth things over. "Since we love honesty," I continued, "I'll be honest too." I took out my phone. I walked toward the projector setup, and I connected. A few heads tilted. My brother Mark frowned, already preparing to label anything uncomfortable as drama. Melissa's eyes narrowed. Lily looked up at me, uncertain. I saw the question. "Are you going to let them do it again?" 3 weeks earlier, Lily had started losing things cash from her piggy bank. A fountain pen, a bracelet she loved. Each time she blamed herself. I didn't. I bought a small camera for clarity, not revenge. Now, with my parents' laughter still in the air, clarity was overdue. The screen flickered from the cheerful slideshow to a grainy hallway view from my house. The backyard went quiet in a delayed way, like people were still chewing and didn't realize the entertainment had changed. On the video, my living room was empty. Then a figure stepped into frame. Melissa. My sister-in-law walked like she belonged there. She went straight to Lily's work desk, opened the top drawer, and pulled out Lily's pencil pouch. Her fingers rummaged, lifted a handful of crumpled bills and coins, counted quickly, and slid them into her jacket pocket. My mother's mouth opened, but no words came out. The video jumped to a second clip. Same room, different day. Melissa again, this time with Ethan behind her. He hovered near the doorframe, grinning, watching like this was a game. "Mom," Ethan's voice came through the recording, clear enough to freeze blood. "Can I have more?" Melissa didn't scold him. She answered like she was handing him a snack. "Take it," she said. "Lily won't notice." The backyard felt airless. Plates lowered. Forks paused midair. My father rose halfway out of his chair as if standing could erase what he'd seen. My brother Mark's face went red, then pale. Melissa lunged toward me, reaching for my phone, but I stepped back. I didn't need to fight her. The video had already done the fighting. I pressed pause. The frozen frame on the screen showed Melissa's hand inside Lily's drawer. I turned to the table and smiled again, because I wanted every person there to see that I was calm. Calm is terrifying when you've earned it. "So," I said lightly, "since we're doing honesty today, who exactly is useless without guidance?" No one answered. My mother finally found her voice, thin and sharp. "Rachel, this is inappropriate." "Inappropriate," I repeated. "Like calling a child useless?" My father slammed his palm on the table. "Where did you get that footage?" "From my house," I said. "From a camera I installed after Lily kept misplacing her things." Melissa started crying instantly. Big, dramatic sobs. "It's a misunderstanding. I was borrowing. Borrowing from a piggy bank. From a 12-year-old. Ethan stared at the ground. For the first time all afternoon, he didn't look like a star. He looked like a boy caught in a lie he didn't expect to follow him into daylight. My mother pivoted fast, trying to drag the moment back under control. "Lily probably gave it to them," she said. "She's always leaving things around." Lily flinched at hearing her name used like a shield. I watched my parents' faces, waiting for the smallest spark of protection for their granddaughter. It didn't come. My mother's concern was the image of our family. My father's concern was authority. Neither of them was looking at Lily. so I kept going. I've already sent these clips to an attorney, I said. And I sent them to Lily's school. That got a reaction. People can ignore theft. They can't ignore schools. Ethan's head snapped up. Melissa's crying hiccuped into silence. My brother Mark stared at me like I'd pulled a weapon. My father's voice dropped. Why would you send it to the school? Because last week, I said, Ethan accused Lily of stealing money in class. A ripple of murmurs ran through the backyard. The story had already traveled. Lily, the quiet kid, suspected. My parents had repeated it like it was proof she was flawed. That day, Lily came home with puffy eyes and an apology she shouldn't have had to make. Maybe I did something wrong and forgot, she'd whispered. Melissa's voice rose, frantic. Ethan didn't mean he's a kid. Lily is a kid, I said. And you used her as the easiest target. My father pointed at the screen, angry because anger is simpler than shame. Turn that off. You're humiliating your family. I looked at him. You humiliated my daughter, I said. I'm just refusing to pretend. Lily stood beside my chair, trembling not from guilt, from training. I reached back and took her hand, anchoring her. My mother's eyes flashed. Rachel, you're overreacting. Overreacting. The word that keeps women quiet. I squeezed Lily's hand once and said, We're leaving. As Lily and I walked toward the gate, I heard my father's chair scrape. This isn't over, he barked. You can't do this to us. I didn't turn around. I only said, You did it to her first. In the car, Lily stared straight ahead with the rigid stillness of someone trying not to shatter. After a minute, she asked, barely audible, Am I in trouble? The question hit me harder than any insult my parents had ever thrown at me. No, I said immediately. You are not in trouble. You did nothing wrong. She swallowed. But everyone was looking at me. I know, I said. That's why we don't stay in places that make you feel small. Her fingers twisted together. Was Ethan really stealing from me? Yes, I said. Because truth is kinder than confusion, and we're going to fix it. My phone buzzed before I even started the engine. Dad, then Mom, then Mark. I let them ring. Lily needed silence more than I needed arguments. At home, she hovered in her doorway like she was waiting for permission to exist. Did Grandma hate me? She asked, voice cracking on hate. Grandma is wrong, I said. Grandpa is wrong. Ethan is wrong. None of that is about your worth. She nodded like she understood and didn't, the way kids do when the truth is too big. I tucked her in and watched her eyes stay open in the dark. When she finally whispered, I tried to be good. Something hot and furious settled in my ribs. Being good isn't the problem, I told her. Being cruel is. Then I closed her door, opened my laptop, and turned my anger into paperwork. I didn't post anything online. I didn't need an audience. The evidence already had one. My family, my child's school, and the adults who would have to decide whether truth mattered more than reputation. For once. That night, after Lily fell asleep clutching her sketchbook, I sat at my kitchen table and organized everything. Dates, clips, and the email from school about the accusation. I forwarded it to the attorney I'd consulted when I installed the camera, then wrote Lily's teacher one short message. Please reopen last week's incident. I have evidence. And I waited for the consequences to arrive. Monday morning, Lily's teacher called me before first period. Her voice was careful, strained in the way adults sound when they realize they may have failed a child. Rachel, she said, I received your email. Can you come in today? I took the earliest break I could get from work and drove to the school with my stomach clenched. Lily walked beside me in the hallway, gaze fixed on the floor like the ground was safer than faces. In the office, the principal, Mr. Henderson, sat with the counselor and Lily's teacher. There was a folder on the desk, my email printed out, screenshots, a USB drive with the clips. Mr. Henderson didn't waste time. We're reopening the incident from last week, he said. If we misidentified what happened, we will correct it. They played the clips. Not the whole barbecue, just the clean, undeniable moments. Melissa taking cash, Ethan asking for more, the line about Lily not noticing. The adults watched with tight faces. Lily stared at the table. When it ended, the principal exhaled slowly. "Thank you for bringing this to us," he said. "We'll check our cameras, speak with students, and follow policy." Policy is a bland word for the thing that decides whether your child is believed. By the end of the day, the school had enough. Ethan had approached the envelope. Ethan had the extra cash afterward. Ethan had pointed at Lily when the shortage was noticed. 2 students confirmed they heard him say her name like a dare. Mr. Henderson called me after dismissal. "Ethan will be suspended from extracurricular activities while we finalize," he said. "And we're notifying his parents." My brother Mark's number lit up my phone 10 minutes later. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail anyway, voice tight with fury. "What did you do? You're trying to ruin my son's life because you're embarrassed at a barbecue?" Embarrassed, as if Lily had done something shameful by existing. Melissa texted next. A long, frantic message. She said she was sorry, and it was complicated, and she never meant to hurt Lily. She offered to pay back some of what she took, like repayment is optional when the victim is small. I didn't reply. Instead, I emailed the school one line. "Please remove all relatives from Lily's pickup list. Only me. Effective immediately." I wasn't waiting for another surprise. They escalated the way people do when they lose control. Quietly, then suddenly. That Thursday, while I was at work, the school called. The receptionist sounded cheerful, unaware she was dropping a bomb. "Hi, Miss Rachel. We just wanted to confirm Lily's grandparents are here to pick her up. They said it's an emergency." My lungs went cold. "Do not release her," I said. "Not to anyone but me. I'm on my way." I drove to the school and walked into the office to find my mother smiling like a saint and my father standing rigid beside her. "Rachel," my mother said too brightly, "we just wanted to talk to Lily." My father added, "We're her grandparents." I went straight to the counter. "Remove them," I told the receptionist. "From every emergency contact list. Right now." My mother's smile cracked. "Rachel, don't." My father leaned closer, voice low. "You're making this worse." "No," I said, meeting his eyes. "You tried to corner my child at school." I turned back to the receptionist. "If they come again, call security." My father swallowed his rage when he realized there were witnesses. They backed away and walked out. Lily came down a minute later, eyes wide. "Did I do something?" she whispered. I knelt in front of her and smoothed her hair back. "No," I said. "Adults are making choices. You don't carry them." She leaned into me, shaking, and I held her right there in the office. That night, I updated every form I'd ever ignored. Doctors, aftercare, permissions, everything. I sent one text to my parents. "You do not contact Lily without me." Dad replied, "You can't stop us." I typed, "Watch me. Ever again, Frank." When Lily came home, she didn't ask about punishments. She asked something else, something sadder. "Do they believe me now?" she said. I knelt so we were eye level. "Yes," I told her. "And even if they didn't, I believe you. I always will." Her mouth trembled like she wanted to smile and couldn't trust it. "Ethan said everyone would believe him because he's good at sports." "Being good at sports doesn't make you honest," I said. "It just makes adults clap when they shouldn't." The next day, my parents showed up at my door. I saw them on my doorbell camera, my mother with her public smile, my father with his tight jaw. I didn't open the door. I spoke through it. "What do you want?" My mother's voice went sugary. "Rachel, honey, we need to talk. Privately. About the part where you called Lily useless?" I asked. "Or the part where you defended theft?" My father cut in. "Don't do this." "Leave," I said. My mother's smile wavered. "Rachel, please. You've made your point." "Protecting my child isn't a point," I said. "It's a line, and you crossed it." Lily's footsteps sounded behind me. I turned my head and said, "Go back to your room, sweetheart." I kept my voice gentle for her. My mother still tried to reach through the door. Lily, tell your mother it was a joke. My chest went cold. Do not speak to my child, I said. And do not call cruelty a joke. They left. 2 days later, the school finalized everything. Ethan had taken the money. He would be suspended from the next 2 games and removed from student council events for the quarter. Melissa was required to repay what she'd taken and was barred from school volunteering for the semester. Consequences. Real ones. A week after that, a small envelope arrived in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was cash-crumpled bills, counted in messy stacks, and a note in Melissa's handwriting. For Lily. Please forgive us. No apology, no accountability. Just a request for absolution. I folded the note, slid it into my evidence folder, and put the cash into Lily's savings jar with a new label. Future, not family. Then I sat with Lily at the kitchen table and said, "We keep building your future with people who earn access." She nodded slowly, and for the first time since the barbecue, her shoulders looked a little less heavy. Once truth is recorded, it doesn't sit politely in a folder. It moves. It spreads. It changes how people look at you. I didn't post the barbecue clip anywhere. I was too busy working, too busy making sure Lily ate dinner, too busy rewriting every contact list like our safety depended on it. But my family didn't need my help. Within a day, the group chat lit up with screenshots of the school notice and everyone's opinions. In my family, consequences travel faster than empathy. Some relatives demanded context. Others called me dramatic. A few stayed quiet, which told me everything. They didn't want to choose a side if choosing meant losing access to my parents' approval. Then my mother called, again and again, until the phone rang like an alarm. When I answered, I kept my voice flat. What? She was crying, not the regretful kind, the offended kind. Rachel, people are talking about us. You called my child useless, I said. That's not what we meant, she insisted. We were joking. You were laughing, I replied. Lily was shrinking. My father cut in, sharp in the background. You're twisting everything. You tried to take Lily from school, I said. Don't pretend this is about a joke. My mother's crying shifted into bargaining. Just tell the principal it was a misunderstanding. Tell them Melissa didn't mean to. Steal, I finished for her. She stole. She was stressed, my mother snapped, as if stress is permission. You know how hard things are. Hard. My parents lived in a house with a pool and a projector screen. They'd never once asked if my life was hard when I was paying bills alone or arranging tutoring on overtime pay. Now suddenly, hardship mattered because it belonged to them. I'm not fixing this for you, I said. My father's voice dropped into that cold tone that used to make me quiet as a kid. Then we'll handle it legally. Do what you need to do, I said. I have video. I have school records. I have your attempt to pick her up, and I'm documenting every call. A beat of silence then, my mother whispered. You're recording us? I'm a mother, I said. Mothers learn. I hung up. 2 days later, Melissa tried to corner me in my work parking lot. I stayed in my car and cracked the window an inch. Rachel, please, she said, eyes swollen. Everyone thinks I'm a monster. You stole from a child, I said. It was small amounts, she whispered. A child's savings isn't small, I replied. She tried again, softer. If you'd just kept it in the family. It was in the family, I said. That's why it happened. Her face collapsed. She left without another word. That weekend, my brother Mark showed up at my apartment alone, hands raised like he was negotiating. I'm not here to fight, he said. I'm here to fix this. Fix what? I asked. The theft? The lie? Or the part where you let Mom and Dad brand Lily as the problem? He winced. Ethan made a mistake. Mistakes are accidental, I said. This was a choice. Mark ran a hand over his hair. You have to understand Ethan has pressure. Everyone expects him to be the best. And Lily has pressure too, I said quietly. The pressure to keep smiling while grown-ups erase her. His eyes flicked toward my hallway, like he hoped Lily would appear and soften me. I stepped into the doorway, blocking the view. Where is she? He asked. Safe, I said. That's all you need to know. His voice tightened. You can't cut us off forever. I held his gaze. Watch me. After he left, the sheikh finally caught up to me. I hated conflict. I hated being the person who draws a line and makes everyone trip over it. But I hated the alternative more. Lily growing up thinking love sounds like laughter at her expense. So I did the unglamorous work. I saved every voicemail. I kept screenshots. I wrote a timeline. I asked the school counselor for resources for dyslexia and for Lily's confidence, because both needed support. We talked about how brains can be brilliant and different, and how slow is a lazy word people use when they're impatient. And in the middle of all that, Lily kept drawing. One evening, she slid her sketchbook toward me. On the page was a girl standing in front of a bright screen, while shadowy adults stared with open mouths. Is that you? I asked. Lily nodded, cheeks pink. I made you taller, she said. Then, after a pause, she added, because you were huge that day. I swallowed hard. You were huge too, I told her. You stayed. She traced a line on the drawing. I didn't feel huge, she admitted. I felt like I was going to disappear. I know, I said. And you didn't. The county science exhibition was 3 weeks away, and Lily's badge still sat on her bag like a brave little flag. For a while, she wouldn't wear it. People will think I'm showing off, she murmured, as if pride was something you had to earn by being loud. One night, she confessed, what if they're right and I'm not good at anything? Her pencil hovered over a blank page, trembling. I sat beside her and said, your worth isn't decided by the loudest person at a barbecue. It's decided by what you build when no one is clapping. We practiced her presentation in our living room. She stumbled over a few words, then tried again. When she apologized out of habit, I stopped her. Don't apologize for needing time, I said. Smart people ask for what they need. The next day, she pinned the badge back on, a little crooked, and whispered, okay, I'll try. That was the real aftershock, not my family's anger, but Lily choosing to take up space anyway. My mother sent a final text that week. I didn't know, I replied once. You knew she was being treated as less. You just didn't expect proof. Then I muted the thread. Because peace sometimes starts with a button. I chose my child over you. Outside, my family tried to rewrite the story. In their version, I was bitter. Lily was sensitive. Ethan was pressured. Melissa was stressed. My parents were old-fashioned. In my home, the story was simpler. Someone hurt my child, and I stopped it. And the next chapter was coming, whether they liked it or not. The county exhibition fell on a Saturday in early spring, the kind of day that smells like cut grass and new beginnings. The school gym was packed with folding tables and trifold boards and nervous kids clutching note cards. Parents hovered with cameras, whispering, smile, like pressure is a gift. Lily wore her yellow dress again. She'd asked for it specifically. It feels like armor, she said, and my throat tightened because 12-year-olds shouldn't need armor at all. Her project sat on table 27, a simple water filter with layers she'd labeled in careful handwriting, plus a small diagram she'd drawn of how dirty water becomes clearer. She'd also built a tiny paper city beside it, her way of showing why clean water matters. Judges like data. Lily likes meaning. When the first judge approached, Lily's fingers curled around her note card so hard the corners bent. Her eyes flicked to me, searching for permission, for safety. I smiled, not the warning smile I used on my parents, but the warm one I saved for her. I nodded once. Lily began. Her voice started small, then steadied as she moved into the part she understood best, why she built it, what problem it solved, how she tested it. She stumbled on a longer word, paused, took a breath, and kept going. No one laughed. One of the judges, a woman with kind eyes, asked, "What would you improve if you had more time?" Lily's face lit up. She launched into ideas, different filter media, a bigger scale, a way to measure turbidity more precisely. The judge leaned in, genuinely interested. I watched my daughter become visible. Not as a craft girl, not as an accessory, as a person with a mind. At lunch, Lily sat on the bleachers eating a sandwich and said, "Mom, I forgot to be scared for a minute." She sounded surprised, like fear had been her default setting. "I noticed," I said. She looked down at her hands. Do you think Grandma and Grandpa would be proud if they saw this?" The old ache tried to rise. I answered honestly. "I think they're too busy being proud of the wrong things," I said. "But I'm proud, and I'm not the only one who matters to you now." She nodded slowly, absorbing it like a new rule. That afternoon, the awards were announced. Lily didn't win first place. Ethan would have hated that. But Lily's name was called for a special recognition: innovative design and community impact. She walked to the stage with her shoulders straight, badge glinting under gym lights, and accepted a ribbon with both hands like it was sacred. I clapped until my palms stung. Later, in the parking lot, Lily held the ribbon against her chest and said, "I didn't need them to believe me." "No," I said. "You didn't." Her voice got softer. "I believed me." That night, my phone rang. "Dad?" I stared at the screen. Part of me, trained by years of conditioning, wanted to answer, to hear an apology, to be told I wasn't the problem. Then I remembered the projector. The word useless. The attempt to pick Lily up like she was property. I let it go to voicemail. His message was calm in that scary way, like he was still trying to pretend he had leverage. "Rachel," he said, "we need to talk. Your mother's been sick over this. We're family." "No, I'm sorry. No, I was wrong. Just we need." He called again the next day. Then my mother. Then Mark. Their messages shifted between pleading and blaming, like they were throwing darts at a wall to see what stuck. I didn't respond. Instead, I wrote one email to the school counselor, thanking her for believing Lily quickly. I booked an appointment with a dyslexia specialist for ongoing support. I updated my work schedule so I could be home more on nights Lily had reading assignments. I filled our fridge with snacks Lily liked. I did the small, steady things that build a child's sense of safety. Weeks passed. The family noise faded when it stopped getting attention. Melissa paid back the money, not because she found integrity, but because consequences made her. Mark stayed angry at me for a while, then pivoted to angry at Melissa for making them look bad. In that household, blame is a ball people throw to avoid holding it. My parents got quieter too. Fewer parties, less audience. The kind of loneliness that happens when control loses its crowd. And Lily? Lily started reading more on her own. Slowly, yes. Still dyslexic, yes. Still needing time, yes. But she stopped treating time like a crime. She'd underline a word, ask me to sound it out, and move forward without shame. She started keeping a notebook of cool words she liked, because she decided words weren't enemies. They were tools. One evening, a month after the exhibition, Lily was at the kitchen table sketching another Paper City blueprint. She didn't look up when she said, "Mom? Yeah?" "If Grandma ever says I'm useless again," she said, still drawing, "I'm going to say, that's your opinion, not my story." I set down the dish I was drying because my hands suddenly felt too shaky for glass. "That's perfect," I managed. She finally looked up and smiled, a real smile, not the polite survival one. Then she added, "Also, can we get a bigger glue gun?" I laughed, a genuine sound that startled both of us. Months later, when another family invitation arrived, some cousin's birthday, same house, same people, I declined without explanation. No lecture, no argument, just no. Because the lesson I wanted Lily to learn wasn't how to endure cruelty with grace. It was how to leave rooms that require her to shrink. And yes, sometimes I wondered if I'd gone too far. The old training doesn't disappear overnight. It whispers that you should have been nicer, quieter, more forgiving. Then I'd remember Lily in that backyard, fingers white around a napkin, asking to go home. And I'd remember Lily on that gym stage, ribbon in hand, believing herself. So no, I didn't go too far. I went exactly as far as a mother should. Now tell me, if you were in my shoes, Would you have hit play too? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories where people cross a line and learn what happens next.